So many wonder, what do I need to know to buy my first house? We are interviewing Nate Raich of Refined Lending today to talk about the process of buying your first home, and a little bit more background about Nate's story. So growing up, his family, what brought him into real estate, and where he's come since buying his first house. So tell me about growing up. Tell me about your family.
You know, great family. Grew up in a dairy farm just north of Cloquet, south of Hibbing, a little town called Meadowlands. So great upbringing.
How many siblings do you have?
5. 3 sisters, 2 brothers. Yep, I'm second to the last, so I got to see everybody grow up in front of me, and really unique. We didn't have a daycare. We stayed on the farm and just worked, you know, and grew up together.
You were one of the babies.
Yep.
Mom and Dad got to see how the more kids you have, the more hands you have on the farm.
Yep, they created more workers, you know, and that's what farm families used to do back in the day. And it's a thing of the past a little bit, you know, as that industry is more evolved to factories, you know, versus homegrown
The
farm.
work ethic, though, is spread into you. So,
oh yeah.
How many kids were in your class in school?
You know, we started off, I think, in the middle 20s, but I graduated with 11. So K through 12 school. Wasn't a private school, but everyone knew each other.
Almost private, yeah.
Almost private, yeah.
So tell me about growing up on a farm.
You know, it's like I said, it's a unique environment growing up on a dairy farm. A lot of my high school friends told me I had a lot of girlfriends because I had to milk cows in the morning.
Black and white, yeah.
Yeah, black and white Holsteins. They were always ready for me in the morning to milk and afternoon.
Always had girls to talk with.
Yeah.
Morning, noon, and night.
They're a little bigger than me, so yeah.
How old were you when you bought your first house?
20. I was 20 years old when I bought my first house.
That's young.
Yeah, it was quite the adventure. I still remember I was living in an apartment with two college buddies of mine, and I'm doing pretty well in sales. I was selling furniture at the time. That was my first job out of college in a retail platform for a local furniture company, and I was making some decent money, like I said, and I thought, I want to buy a Viper. I'm going to go out and buy a Viper. Everyone loves Dodge Vipers.
That's a car.
It's a car, yes. 20 years ago.
Not a great investment.
No. Well, one of my friends said, well, if you're going to buy a Viper, you'd be the only person that owns a Viper who lives in a rental.
This little apartment.
A little apartment with 2 other
buddies.
guys. Yeah. He told me to buy a house. And
what was the payment on that Viper?
Would have been $1,000 a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
you
so the payment was $1,283 per month for my first house. I still remember that moment when I moved into that house. I was upstairs in my bedroom getting the furniture ready, and that's when I realized I wanted to build and buy more houses.
Right away.
Right away.
Walked into your first house.
My first house, first night, I knew that this was such a great experience. When I closed on that property, it was $178,000 and it appraised for $215,000. As a 20-year-old, in my mind, I thought, I have money, I have equity.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was going to use it for the next house.
Did you buy existing? Your first house, you bought an existing home?
No, it was a friend of mine told me we needed to build. He could build. It was before the bubble and the burst of 2008. So in 2001, it was starting to ramp up during those times, and it was tough to find a house in my price range. So I found a irregular lot, and he said, "Let's build a house."
So your first home you built?
We did. Yep. Me and a friend of mine. He contracted it out, and I got the loan, and that was my first house.
And you were hooked ever since the first house?
Ever since, yeah.
How long did you own that house?
I owned it for 18 months. I owned it for 18 months because I knew I had equity. And I'm like, if I duplicate this process and I can build that equity. So as a young kid, I'm like, I'm going to be rich. But I
do this every
single year, right? But then, obviously that's a big picture, big dream. I've always had that drive to do more new construction, buy more houses, but there's a lot of ups and downs in the market.
Oh, yes. Yep. You have to be smart about it.
Yep.
But to own a home over the long period of time always seems to be still a great investment, especially
The best.
if it's the home that you live in.
It is, yeah.
So tell me about the experience of buying your first house.
It was unique. A young kid going in to get a mortgage and not having a clue on the steps. I still remember talking to the loan officer, and it was a gal, really well known, and she did a great job overall. I was very pleased, but I had no direction in the process. And she asked me how much money I had. I told her I had $13,000, and she said, okay, bring that check to closing. And I didn't know about closing costs. I didn't know about the interest rate. I didn't know what my payment was going to be until the day of closing.
Wow.
So the industry over 20 years has evolved drastically. Now there's multiple steps in disclosing up front. The very first day you have to sign an application. Here's the estimated payment. So I can really appreciate where the market has come for the consumer.
So since your first house, how many homes have you purchased?
Well, we have closed on 56. We have a few more to purchase. Actually, this month we have 2 that we'll close on, so we'll be at 58.
So when you bought your first house and you sold 18 months later and you said, I'm going to do this every year,
Yeah.
you are not 56 years old.
No,
So you're buying
no.
more than one house every year.
You know, it's leveraging your cash to buy more. It's by buying so many, you take advantage of the market in different markets. So you might hit the lottery on some and just be okay on others.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, we've made very good decisions over the years. Yeah.
So what got you hooked? Why did you decide I want to be in real estate
You
instead
know,
of selling furniture?
I kind of fell into it backwards. A friend of mine was in the mortgage business. At the time, I probably couldn't spell mortgage, but he told me, come in and apply. So I went into a meeting with his manager and I didn't get the job. And a year later, there was some turnover and a new manager took a position. He called me again and said, you better come in here and put your best foot forward. And I reapplied and I got the job, and I've been very blessed and thankful for that interview ever since, and still friends with that manager.
So tell me about your experience when you bought your first house. How does that help you work with first-time home buyers now, or how does that help buyers today?
And I obviously, being a loan officer for over 15 years, I've worked with over 5,000 clients. Now I can't remember every single detail, but I can remember every step that I've taken and prepared for that opportunity when it came about, that house, when it was ready to be purchased. You have to prepare your clients mentally and also just their budget, and you have to make them ready to purchase when that opportunity comes up.
It's a very overwhelming and emotional process to buy a house.
It is, and it's very invasive, actually. You have to open up your financials, where you're spending your money. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that affordability, at the end of the day, that once you do purchase that house, you can retain that house. And that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the most unique purchase when you bought a house.
The most unique purchase, I would have to say, I'll even share with you some numbers. I purchased, a friend of mine said there's a great opportunity. It was in Edina, and she said, it's $650,000, but the land is where the value is. And she said, you need to purchase this house and tear it down. We purchased the house for $650,000, and we did a lot split, and we were able to build 2 houses. And so we leveraged that, obviously, opportunity into 2, and it was very fruitful for our company and for us financially.
That must be scary, to make a $650,000 purchase and tear the asset apart.
Yeah, it was a lot of people, scratching their heads like, what are you doing? But knowing the numbers, it worked out for the best.
And you saw the opportunity.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Yep.
Tell me about future opportunities for your clients.
I'm glad you asked, because future opportunities present themselves when you surround yourself with really good people, okay? Whether it's a real estate agent and a loan officer working together, that's more powerful than just one on their own, because when that loan officer has you pre-approved and that real estate agent has faith that everything is perfect, they'll present a lot of more opportunities because they want you as a home buyer to feel comfortable with the home process, be within budget, and know that you'll close on time. And it presents a lot more value to your transaction.
That's true. There's a lot of titles in the real estate industry. but working with professionals
Yep.
and a team can really make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
It's much different. It's not just buying online or clicking on a link and picking out a product.
Right.
It's really structuring
It's very emotional too.
experience.
Yeah, the experience, especially your first house, when you're in that house, you feel so blessed. You do, because owning a house isn't a right, it's a privilege. And when you're in that house, you've earned it. You really have.
Refined Lending has over 10 down payment assistance programs. How do you know which one to use?
You know, down payment assistance, it might not be for everybody, but rest assured, we'll look at all the programs available, and you'll be surprised that you might not even need it. But if you do, there's quite a few different programs available. Each one is unique to your situation, location of the house, your budget, possibly just even the subject property. It might accept one type of lending opportunity versus another, depending on the condition it's at.
If you're looking at houses, you're not finding something you like, maybe you want to build a home. What types of financing is available for somebody that wants to build their own custom home?
You know, if you'd like to take the same steps that I did, we do have new construction opportunities, those type of loans in-house with Refined Lending, and you do have to have your own builder involved, so you have to have a general contractor that can help you with the build cycle to make sure it's built on time. That's really important to make sure you have a house when you're ready for one. So.